I too am blessed. I was blessed to know my mother-in-law for 29 years as a mother-in-law. I knew her several years before that. Always the sweetest lady you'd ever meet. A true blessing to everybody. She loved to cook, and so she was always inviting us there. And I don't know what Tommy's saying, so if he repeats it, it's not his fault, it's mine. But she was so very sweet, but she could also be a little bit mischievous, and I'm sure he won't tell this, because at Christmas time, there was an ongoing joke for a lot of years. She didn't have much money. She never had much of anything, but she would always buy everybody a Christmas gift. And she could get chocolate mint patties, which Tommy absolutely loved, for 50 cents a box. So everybody got chocolate mint patties, which I did not like. She knew I didn't like them, but I got them. And I'd always open the box and say, well, I wonder what this is. Oh, Miss Jordan, you know I don't like these things. And it was just a big joke, but every year. But it was just one of those things. But, I forgot the main thing. The reason she gave those to me was because she knew Tommy would get them. And I chose this song because she loved to cook and serve meals.
In heaven they just received an invitation from a missionary in a distant land to accommodate a party of believers who just accepted God's salvation plan. Just as the angels say all is ready, God hears a cry from another man. There's been another birth into the kingdom. As the head waiter hears one more
confirm one fact. My wife talks too much. As I get to talking about my mother today, I want to make one statement, and that is God is good. He's been good to our family. He's been good to me. And I want to give you a little brief background of my mother's life, but I want to concentrate mainly on her latter part of her life, where we were in Sunday school together. I was their Sunday school teacher. We had a lot of good times together. I'd carry her back and to from Mebbin, and we had a lot of conversations along the way. But Mom was married. She had 3 kids, and but her and my father had some problems, and they separated. Mom had a time handling that situation, and her nerves were bad, so she ended up having a nervous breakdown. She had to go into hospital for a while and stay for a pretty good while. My grandmother stepped in. The people at the I want to say child services, whatever, they wanted to separate us up and move us to different locations, but my grandmother said no, that wasn't going to happen. So she kept us all together. And Granny was the one that put the rod to me to straighten me out. We had been living in Orange County with my daddy's father, and we came back to Burlington, and I was about 5 years old. Granny, I was throwing rocks at cars, doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing. And it didn't take me very long to find out those hedges around her front yard came in for a good use, and she wore me out more than one time. It finally got down to the point that when she'd give me a whooping, she'd sit me down and talk to me, and she'd say, look, said, it just hurts me so bad to whip you, but said, I got to. And it just killed me. I wish she'd have just beat me to death right there. But that said, my sister and my brother, we were raised, and we've always went back to the fact that we were thankful that Granny took us in, kept us together, and we've talked about that over the years. And that's been a really a sweet spot in our life where we could stay together, and we've communicated, and we've just got a good life. And then later on, when Mom was able to come back home, and she looked after Granny, and we lived together there for a good while. She was a tremendous cook. She just loved to cook. There was 3 things about her that I loved. I loved her biscuits, I loved her persimmon pudding, and I loved her no crust coconut pie. It was just tremendous. But she loves flowers. She loved cats. She had a gray and white tomcat. We always called him Tuda Baby. But that was her pet during that time. She had a sweet spirit about her. She just loved living. But like I said, those things that happened to her, it tend to. She didn't really talk a lot about it, and she was quiet, and so. The thing it really got us going, and it was sort of a joke in our family. Her brother, Clyde, he died in 1964. Her father died in 1954. Wait a minute, no, I'm sorry. Let's get this back right. Uncle Clyde died in 64. My grandpa died in 54. My grandmother, she passed away in 74. And Mama looked around, and she got to thinking, and she said, wait a minute, I'm going to die in 84. And I said, no, Mama, that's not the case. I said, just. So 84 came, and 84 went, and she didn't pass. And so she was relieved. And so when we was in Sunday school a lot, we talked about the fact that God's going to look after each and every person individually, and we're in His keep. And so, in her latter part of her life, Dolly got her apartment down in Mebbin, so I'd go down to Mebbin and get her and bring her to church. But the one thing that I want to emphasize, in fact, is her faith in the Lord, in the fact that she came up with She went to the doctor, and they found out a little spot was on her lungs. Mama was smoking. I don't know where she picked it up at, or what, but when she found out that little spot was on her lung and that was coming from that smoking or something, she quit. Cold turkey right there. And then as she, a little later, they found out that she had a leaking in her valve in her heart. And I was with her tonight when she went into operation, and she had a peace about her, and she was calm. She just knew everything was going to work out fine, and it did. And I've got to thank the Lord for that. But all in all, she had a good life. We've had a good life. I wouldn't take nothing for our life. And I know Benny Ray was showing me the thing about the little book about the Wilsons down the road. I was a big part of that. We went down there often. But I want to emphasize that my mother's faith is what carried her through, and it kept her going. Thank you.